Hey, good evening. It's Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. How are you all doing tonight? For number 184, continuing my military story. Lots of good stuff going on, starting off 2020. Really happy you all are here. And this is just a fun podcast to kind of tell you what my boot camp experience was like on through MOS school and then to the fleet. Taking my time with this and having a lot of fun. And I'm going to bring up right from the start this stuff right here. Thank You Popcorn. And there's a very good story behind Thank You Popcorn. It is fantastic. This stuff is the spicy mix. I like the Mexican elotes popcorn myself. And you're going to be seeing a whole lot of it for number 185. And you can go on their website. It is thankyou-popcorn.com. Thankyou-popcorn.com. I'll have a link in the description and you can check it out. But let me tell you what, it is absolutely fantastic. Good story how I found this stuff, and you're not going to want to miss it. So, by all means, please join in for next week. Like, share, and subscribe. And getting this started, I'm going to talk about my sponsors for a second before we get going. Really appreciate their support. I have 3 of them. And the first one is Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate. She's based out of Remax Synergy in Brockton, Massachusetts, that city of champions. Mark Holmes, Army National Guard veteran with Reaper Detailing and Powerwashing. He cleaned my motorcycle Felicity, and he can clean anything well. And last but not least, Sean Schubert, Cage Titan champion. Did a cartwheel. It's pretty awesome. He is doing this. And then as a supporter, the Godfather Michael, a.k.a. the Godfather Damon with Vet Unite and Last Call Designs as a supporter. I want to thank you all for your help. You can watch that as I'm going through this. So, swim call. Swim Qual. Because believe it or not, people say devil dogs and people say, hard chargers, but at the core, Marines are supposed to be amphibious. We are, in effect, naval infantry. We go on ships. We protect ships. We secure ports. We do ship-to-shore operations. We're supposed to be very comfortable with the water. And so being able to swim is a core component to that. Now, as everybody, believes the Marines are super tough and awesome, which we are, I believe the Coast Guard actually has a more rigorous swim qual test than we do. But that being said, I want to just take a couple minutes, go over my swim story, a couple of funny points about that, and this is the end of. This is actually the beginning of third phase for me. So we had gone through first phase, the rifle range in Camp Pendleton, and all that stuff, all the humps, the Reaper. I never talked about that one. Maybe I'll swing back to that one. I don't know. But the swim call stands out because it's like a week long, and you're in the pool for about 4 hours a day for a week, which is kind of interesting, for all the running and push-ups and pull-ups we do. You think they'd have us in the water more. And I just think back to the USS Indianapolis and how important being able to survive in the water is, especially when you have these sharks that think breakfast is served and dinner and lunch all at the same time. But we only had a week of swim training. And so there were some funny things about that, right? Now, I could swim, but I'm not a great swimmer, but I could swim before I got to boot camp. And I will tell everyone on here, they talk about running and push-ups and pull-ups and, more running. Swimming is a very important part of the boot camp experience. I don't know about the Air Force. I don't know about Army. I know the Navy lives and breathes it. I know the Coast Guard is very tough, but you do have to pass your swim test in order to graduate boot camp. Okay, I mean that's not negotiable. So it would behoove you, if you're not comfortable with swimming, is go down to your local Y or one of those swim classes, and learn how to swim, especially tread water. That's very important. I'll get to that in a second. So it's the beginning of third phase. Some of the craziness is calming down a bit, not much, and it's time for swim class. And they didn't want you too stressed out because you are going in the water. It is a stressful environment. And you're going to get yelled at. The games are still there, but not as much. And so they marched us in there by company, by platoon. So I was in golf company, second platoon. And they first did a test to see just how well you could swim. And basically, now it's changed. It's a different path now, but the first thing I had to do was swim from one end of the pool to the other. And this was funny. There were some of my fellow boot campers, recruits who were running gods. They were gazelles. They could run all day long. The lieutenants loved them because, oh my God, Staff Sergeant, he ran a 20-minute mile. He ran an 18-minute mile. That's a perfect score. He's going to do well. And these guys walked around like, life was good. They get in the pool, and guess what? They couldn't get out of the first assessment, which is, and it's like the pool's like, I think it's 25 meters long. I want to say it's like 75. It's like 25 meters, like 75. Is it 75 yards? Is it 25 meters? I think so. Anyway, I don't know. A long way. So you swim there and swim back. Maybe the total length of the swim is 25 meters. But anyway, for me, not that hard. For some guys, it started off really bad. And I'm like, whew. Because it's not like Baywatch or the town pool where if you start having some trouble, the lifeguard's there to pull you out right away. No, as you'll discover, if you can't swim, they let you swallow some of the water first and really struggle before they come get you out. And you get to sit there and get called lame and lazy while your buddies are swimming, or get to do some kind of remedial task or push-ups or anything else to do to let the DIs let you know that you're just unsat. So I did that, no problem at all. Second thing to do was to jump off a board. You see the picture in the background. It's like a 15-foot drop from this diving platform into the water. So you put on your camis and you jump off. You'd hold your hand over your nose. You go down, what seems like forever, then come back up, and then you'd have to swim to the side. Now, falling off the tower or jumping off the tower is pretty easy, right? The swim part kind of freaks some guys out because you're not in trunks, you're in, boots, and you're in your full gear. Again, I'm not a fantastic swimmer, but I did what amounted to a little side stroke / dog paddle and got out. So I'm like, okay, we're 2 for 6 now. We're cruising through this. All right. And then I forget the next 2 things. So I'll go with what gave me trouble first. The first thing that gave me really trouble, I was doing all right, was, and I think this is evolution number 4. I forget what the third test was, but number 4 was treading water for 4 minutes. And again, I haven't really swum a lot. I'm in a pool, yes, or in a pond, but nothing like this. And 4 minutes might not sound like a long time, but when you have, your camis on and they're collecting water and you can't really, move the way you want to move. 4 minutes is an eternity. And I completely foobarred my first couple attempts at that because, and the DIs would tell us to use slow, easy movements. Well, when you start sinking beneath the water, what do? I panicked and I started, going like this, flapping all around trying to keep myself up, and I would sink like a rock, and I would get more and more tired, and I would get more and more frustrated, because I get to like minute 3:30, minute 3:20, minute 3:45, and lose it and sink to the bottom. And I'm like, if I can't pass this, and it's for real, folks, if you can't pass this week, they recycle you and make you do it again until you do pass. And it's not the fun, loving swim kind of classes. It's not that way at all. It's kind of like Uncle on the Range. You don't want to do it. You don't want to be at boot camp any longer than you absolutely have to be. So what happened is, and this is like over the course of 2 hours, what finally happened was I was so tired and exhausted that I had no choice but to move slow and easy and really pay attention to my breathing. And I'm doing it, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing it, and the DI looks at me, and he's like, okay, you've been treading water for about 6 minutes now. I'm like, get out. I'm like, yes, oh my God, I did it. And I'll never forget my Lieutenant Russo. He was an artillery officer. I was like, watch your bearing there, Marine. No, he didn't say Marine. He's like, watch your bearing. Watch your bearing. I didn't care, but okay. Got out of the pool and like, yeah. And the drill instructor's like, go away. Leave me alone. Get out of here. So I did that. I got done one day. I'm like, okay, we're cruising. We got 2 more days of this. It can't get any harder, right? Wrong. The next thing was where you put on your gear. And we all got around the staff sergeant, and we all got around this period of instruction. He's like, you see this flat jacket here? Well, everything has buoyancy. If you put this flat jacket on, it'll help you float. Now, I'm not a scientist, but I'm like, wait a minute. That thing I wore for the last 5 weeks was anything but light. It was heavy. I didn't imagine one of these things floating. So you put on a flat jacket, your H harness with your canteens and your magazine pouches. You've got your fake plastic M16 rifle, your camis on, and they push you in the water and tell you to swim the length of the pool and back. And I'm swimming and I'm like, I start to sink. And again, I panic. I don't use slow, easy movements. I get really, really fast. And what happens is I start to sink. And then it gets really bad. And again, they waited. They waited a good minute of me, swallowing what had to be half the pool before they threw me the life ring. They didn't jump in the pool and come get me. I was supposed to catch the life ring while I'm trying to fight for my life here. It was traumatic, right? It was terrible. It sucked. Grabbed the life ring. They're like, okay, you're done. So the last thing that we had to try to do, and at that moment I had passed, believe it or not. I had swum far enough with my gear on to allegedly get away from the ship, which if it was going down, which I didn't believe, I could tread water for 4 minutes. I could jump off of a ship and swim away with no gear on, and I could swim 25 meters, back and forth from the pool. The next step, where again the guys who couldn't run and couldn't PT really kind of got some props, is they did these crazy things. Like they would push these guys off the side of the pool, and they would use their camis. They would splash water on their camis while they're in the pool, and then go underneath the water, right? Insert and blow air into their camis and make it into a life jacket, and it actually worked. It was pretty awesome. And the guys you didn't think would be able to do this, all the non-runners and some of the non-PTers and some of the, less buff recruits were crushing this. And then you got to watch them actually do some of the combat rescue stuff. And some of these recruits did very, very well. I didn't get that far. I did not get that far. I just didn't. I just didn't. I did not have the means to pass the standard to get that far. If you get it was your WSQ4, something like that you got back then, if you completed all the phases of swim qual, it went into your jacket for boot camp, and you were noted that you had a very proficient swimmer here, which is funny because I never, once I did that in boot camp, like we did PFTs all the time, 3-mile run, 20 pull-ups, and as many steps you can do in 2 minutes. Actually, it's a pull-ups first, steps second, and then the run was last. We did those all the time. I never ever did a swim qualifier ever again. I did the gas chamber every year. I did rifle qual every year. I did pistol qual, shotgun fan fire, and other things. But we never did a swim qual ever again, ever. I don't know if it's because our unit did not rate it. I don't know why, but you're supposed to now in the Marine Corps do it every 2 years. You're supposed to do it. I think the only exemption is if you actually go full, if you meet all the extended standards for a combat rescue swimmer, which is pretty awesome. I mean, it's not bad info to know. So while people tell you that running's important and push-ups are important, pull-ups are important, and they are, make your boot camp stay a little easier by getting some swimming prac app in, as we say. It's not wasted time. And if you can swim and you join the Marine Corps and crush that swim week, you're going to cruise through your third phase pretty easily. By then, they know who are the nasties and who are the non-hackers and who are the studs. And if you're kind of on the balance line between, being an average recruit or a stud, this will push you over the top to go into graduation. It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. And personally, if I, were to go over the side of a ship in a emergency, I definitely want to know that I can save my own life and maybe somebody else's. So yeah, it wasn't like a fantastic moment for me. I did just enough to get through the qualifications, so I didn't have to do it again. Even now, I wouldn't say I'm a fantastic swimmer. I just don't spend enough time in the pool. Although I absolutely love being able to scuba dive. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm going to try it again this year. It's not a bad skill to have. Not a bad skill at all to have. So yeah, I got like 1 or 2 boot camp stories to tell before I go into MCT and Hawk School. And I will tell anybody, and no one believes me, that I thought boot camp in some ways was a lot easier than Hawk School ever was. Hawk School was tough. So that's it for 184. Again, you want to come back for number 185 to find out about Thank You Popcorn. Got a special guest coming on next week for the first podcast in February 2020. It's been a lot of fun. We're closing down to 200. So like, share, and subscribe. A big thank you to my sponsors and my supporter. This is Travis at Moscow Mike Radio, and we are locked through launch.